Oh my God.
Here we go. Hi.
Can you hear us?
I can. How are you?
How are you? Let's turn this volume up a little bit. All right.
Where are you ladies?
We are just outside of Washington, D.C.
Lovely.
Yeah.
In
We're
my
like
house.
the American Ghost Maidens.
So, are you okay?
Yeah, it was just a fender bender. Someone hit me from behind.
Oh,
That's
the
so
worst.
such a bummer.
Second one this week.
No.
This week?
Oh man.
Yeah, I missed it. And it always happens before Zoom meetings.
Oh,
Oh my God.
so it's our fault.
Oh, it Zooms. Blame it on Zoom.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for coming on and agreeing to talk with us.
Yes.
No problem.
We're so excited.
Well, I'm excited too.
We have
And,
lots of questions for you.
All my French friends are worried about me.
Oh, I bet they are.
Yeah, they when I left France, they were like, "Are you going to be okay?" They believe in God in that country.
They believe in God.
My friend was worried. She's like, "Please don't convert." And I'm like, "What? I live there. I grew up there, and I'm not converted."
Right. Yeah. And
Like,
then, yeah.
You know, they actually believe in a God that lives in the clouds. And
Not
I don't-
everyone.
I don't.
I'm like, I do ghost hunting.
Right.
Right. That's what we're doing tomorrow.
Where are you going?
It's called the Octagon Mansion in Withville, Virginia. We're going with a team that we met in Tennessee.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
You gonna wear masks and social distance ghost hunting?
Yeah, definitely.
Sure.
No, we will. We'll do whatever we have to do just to be able to go, you know?
Yeah.
I hope you don't get COVID.
We do too.
I've lost
Yeah.
5 friends, so I'm very serious about it. And I've been social distancing since the 7th of February.
Right.
Wow. Since February.
Yeah, because I know how deadly this is.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'd rather not take a risk and I don't want to become a ghost.
Right.
Yeah, that's
Rather
true.
just talk to them instead of be one.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
But, you know, they threw me back into work and I'm a hairdresser. So it's like, okay. I mean, I guess if you think it's safe enough for me to touch people's heads, then.
Well, did you hear about the woman that had COVID and she saw 180 people and was wearing a mask and everybody was fine?
Yes.
I
Okay.
did hear
Yes.
about that.
There are precautions you can take to reduce your risk.
Absolutely.
And I'm all for that.
Yes.
Oh,
Oh, so are we.
we are. I mean, we take people's temperatures before they enter the salon. They
Mhm.
fill out a questionnaire. We all have our protective gear on, and if the clients don't have it, they're not coming in.
Mhm.
But gotta make money
Yes.
somehow.
Yes.
I just want everybody to be safe and healthy and get our economy back and everybody back to work and
Right.
Yes.
beat this virus like Europe did.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I
Yes.
can't wait for that day.
I'm going to New York tomorrow
Yeah.
and I have to quarantine for 2 weeks.
In New York or?
I have to go to a quarantine center for 2 weeks to enter New Jersey.
Oh my
Oh, wow.
goodness.
Well, they have no
Yeah.
COVID.
Yeah.
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 Well, yeah.
We had 12,000 infections in California
Mhm.
yesterday, 12,000 new infections.
Oh
What?
my gosh.
Yes, and 200 deaths. And New Jersey had 3 deaths and 200 positive cases, and they're testing twice as much as we are.
Is California back to phase 1?
Depends on what county. There's counties in the north. I mean, California is the 3rd largest state and we have 40 million people.
Yeah.
So we have the population of 2/3 the population of us. We have half the population of Germany
Yeah.
and 10 times the infections.
Oh.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's because Americans won't wear masks. They want them freedoms.
Mhm.
Right, but you got to
and-
work for it to get it back.
Well,
Yeah.
no, I think that the Constitution guarantees us certain freedoms, but I think we should just be smart and get rid of the virus so we don't all become ghosts.
Yes.
I agree.
Oh.
I'm not ready for
I
that.
want to work, I want to breathe, and I want to not wear a mask, but I'm going to have to wear a mask until the vaccine is distributed and proper treatments are out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The governor of Massachusetts did an incredible job. He said, phase 5 is the vaccine. We're going to stay at phase 4 until then.
I love that.
I like that too.
I love that.
Yeah. I like that better than the new normal.
Right?
I don't like that term. Oh, I think he's frozen. Oh.
Yeah. So what are we going to talk about today?
Well, we would love to talk about vampires.
Oh, do you have any questions for me?
Yes, lots. Because
Okay.
we don't really know anything about like modern vampirism, you know?
Okay.
I've seen movies about vampires, obviously. I've never talked to someone who in real life, you know, is a vampire in the modern age. So
Like with the whole subculture.
yeah, like where
of
did it come
vampirism,
from? And
things like that.
well, I guess we could start with how you first got interested in vampires.
My mother.
Yeah.
Interesting. Cool mom.
I've always had dreams, lucid dreams of vampires. And I didn't know what they were because I wasn't into it. And then when my mother introduced me to Anne Rice,
Mm-hmm.
the Queen of the Damned, God bless her soul, I think I was 12 or 13, and she said that she had read Interview with the Vampire. And I looked it up, and I went to the library, and then I found a book series called Mysteries of the Unknown by Time Life Books, and I got into that, and I got into the paranormal. My mother is psychic. I spent a lot of time debunking psychics. Now I leave them alone because I don't want to. I'm a natural sensitive. I can see past the veil. I ignore a lot of spirits and ghosts because they're like deaf people. If you pay attention to them and they know that you can see them, they will not leave you alone.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay. I grew up in the deaf community, so I'm fluent in American Sign Language.
Oh, cool.
And so when you see a phantom, it's a thing. And I've also studied historical ghosts, and I've also dealt with the largest ghost hunting organization in the world that puts $100 million a year into ghost hunting.
What
Oh,
organization
wow.
is that?
I would rather not say because
Okay. Okay.
their secrecy is important.
Okay.
Okay.
Fair enough.
However, they are, you know who they are, and they
Okay.
know about ghosts more than any other group that I've met. And so I grew up in the paranormal and the psychic community, and I've met people. I've kind of classified, I've put like the classifications of people who identify with who can be called vampires in many forms. And your most common are psychic vampires or emotional vampires, traditional psychic vampires. And these have nothing metaphysical about them. Okay. Anton LaVey, God bless his soul, who faked his death in 1998 and showed up in American Horror Story. That was the joke in American Horror Story.
Oh, I was like, I
okay.
didn't see that.
He wrote in the Satanic Bible that vampires are, not all vampires drink blood. It was a chapter in the Satanic Bible, which sold more books. There's over 3 million copies of the Satanic Bible available. So it's the most commonly read book about vampires, about real vampires. Okay. And he talks about psychic vampires being parasites, the people that you don't want to be around. The only way to defend yourself is to disconnect from them and ignore them. And when you can't, you got to minimize your contact because they're the people that make drama. And in my book, Black Veils, which comes out September 1st, 2020, I talk about emotional vampires, the parasitic people that drain you of your positive energy. They can be a coworker, they can be a family member, they can be a friend, they can be, they make you feel responsible to them.
Mm-hmm.
And they are the most common type of vampire. And they're very suppressive people. They'll guilt you, they'll make you feel bad, they'll run you in circles. You can never finish a conversation with them. And they're draining your energy. And I call them traditional psychic vampires.
Okay.
Okay. And any good vampire lifestyler knows how to identify them and avoid them.
Okay.
Because they give us a bad name.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. You know, I heard a funny word that sounds like it would work for them. It was called a fuckubus.
That's cool. Very good. Very fuckubus. So, and traditional vampire lore, if you look at the mythology, there's a modern vampire mythos.
Right.
And it started with the Palladori's The Vampire, which was written in 1819 in association with, that was the beginning of the Victorian vampire era. And over the 19th century with the Penny Dreadfuls and the Varney the Vampire and Carmilla the Vampire, it accumulated into a modern vampire mythos called Dracula by Bram Stoker. So a lot of people base that on what it is. So there's three great contributions to the vampire mythos beyond the ancient vampires, which were never blood drinkers. They were all energy vampires.
Okay.
Okay. Blood drinking is a modern concept.
Okay.
Okay. And not all vampires drink blood. You'll find that if you expand past the Dracula myth and the modern vampire myth, that most vampires don't drink blood.
Okay.
Like the incubi and succubi of ancient Sumeria, the Anaku, the most vampires were, besides the Balkans, with vampires that would come and they would hunt their family members because they were the most vulnerable.
Oh.
Okay. Yes. So in the vampire mythos of the 16th, 17th, 18th century, before the 19th century, vampires were revenants. They were not beautiful or sexy. They were bloated bags of blood like a tick that would come back after death and hunt their family members because their family members were the most susceptible prey.
Oh, God.
Sounds amazing.
So they would come and then they'd cut the head off and stake the heart. And that's where the mythology came from.
Okay.
The Istra vampire from Istra, which is a part of Croatia, is one of the first vampire myths. And it would come back and hunt the family. So today, people identify as vampires. But like the traditional psychic vampire, most vampires are energy vampires. There are people that claim to need blood, okay, and they call themselves sanguine vampires or sanguinarian vampires, okay. They are even taboo in the VC, the vampire community.
Okay.
Because most people that claim to drink blood are just doing it to sensationalize themselves on television.
Yeah, I can't imagine that would be very safe.
It can be very safe and it's very sacred. There is a good side to it.
Okay.
It's the most intimate thing two people can do. It's more intimate than sex. The exchange of blood is called a communion. And one direction is feeding. Okay, but there's a lot of downsides to it. It's not as efficient as energy vampirism. Okay, because you can take energy if you know how to filter and shield and the energy vampirism is more direct, and you can go into a group of people and take a little bit from each person and not hurt them. Imagine trying to drink blood safely from a group of people.
Right, that's what I was going to ask. Like, do you just like suck someone's energy out, but it's just little bits here and there?
Well, every interaction you have is an exchange of energy.
Right.
Oh, okay.
And there's different frequencies of energy. There's a spectrum of energy. And blood is a very deep form of feeding. It's very dangerous because of the health risks. Okay. It's very dangerous because you can get emotionally linked to someone. Okay. My donors, when I was practicing sanguine before I learned energy feeding efficiently, in the 90s would become emotionally obsessed with me, and
Oh,
it
that's
wasn't healthy for me or them.
Right.
No.
Okay, and it's like it's the same effect as casting a spell on someone. And when you cast a spell on someone for love, like the metaphysics of love magic is, if you cast a spell on someone to fall in love with you, it becomes an obsession and they resent you and they're trapped, versus calling for love to yourself. Okay,
Right.
it's the efficient way of like, hey, I never knew that I could fall in love with this person that I never expected that I could love.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Patty said something very similar.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's common sense magic,
Yeah.
Right.
metaphysics.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So the drinking blood is a deep, deep connection.
Huh.
Okay. And it's a lot of these young vampires come in and be like, I'm going to drink blood. I'm a sanguine vampire. I need to drink blood. And I'm like, well, good luck finding a donor that's healthy and safe and you can trust.
Right.
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 Yeah, there'd have to be some steps before that.
Yeah.
Okay. And the amount of energy that one vampire needs cannot be sustained by one person. So it's a very inefficient and very risky form of energy consumption.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So exchanging energy for that, making a blood pact, okay, is you feed from each other and it cycles the energy and it connects you in family.
Mhm.
That's where you get a lot of the blood brother concepts of Tonto and the Lone Ranger.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay. You're energetically connected.
Mhm.
All right. That's blood is thicker than water. Blood is the life.
Right.
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 So
But
that's
blood is the
like-
life. Blood is the life force that
Okay.
sustains us. And everybody goes to me, I don't believe in ghosts. And I laugh and I go, well, one just spoke to me. And they're like, who? And I'm like, okay. But here's the thing that I have a very hard time believing is that most spirits move on after death. Okay. And residual pieces of the individual's identity remain and react to the living. But I don't believe that souls stay very easily trapped.
Okay.
So I used to be a cataphile in Paris. Okay. Where I would,
What's a cataphile?
you know, the catacombs of Paris.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I was an expert on them.
Oh, cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
I knew where the entrances were. I used to run a ghost tour called Paris Ghost Tour.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick your brain about that later.
I would go into the catacombs, and the catacombs had no spirits in them at all. It was completely empty.
Uh-huh.
That's interesting.
There was nothing there. Absolutely zero.
Oh, that's
Never guessed
so
that.
disappointing.
No, it's not.
Oh,
Because
Well,
all the
it's
spirits
been-
are,
well, yeah.
well, a spirit usually attaches itself to the place of death.
Okay.
And nobody died in
yeah.
the catacombs.
They didn't die there.
Yeah.
Okay.
That makes
I
sense.
found one phantasm, and I trapped a spirit, and I brought it down, and I left it there,
Mhm.
just so a friend of mine could have a ghost in his TV show.
And did it work?
Yep.
It was still there? Wow. Well, I mean, it is fun to find them, but you're right. You know, when you go ghost hunting, you want to experience something,
Mhm.
but it is nice if you can then cross them over because it's only fair to them.
Well, I remember there's a thing called a phylactery, which you can use. It's a metaphysical device where you can trap a spirit inside of it, a ghost box.
Yeah.
I don't know what they call it because I don't use science. I use metaphysics.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So what I would do is I would trap a spirit, okay, or the residue of a spirit, and release it out in locations so people could find ghosts.
Interesting.
Oh, interesting. Like the ghost box in Ghostbusters.
Yeah, something like that, but it usually looks like an item.
Okay. Oh, okay.
It can be a box or a bottle or like a genie in a bottle or a lantern.
Yeah,
or,
cool.
So what I would like, there was a bunch of kids that were at the, there was a bunch of kids doing ghost hunting. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
There was a bunch of kids that were hunting spirits at the Stanley Hotel.
Yeah, been there.
Okay, so there was nothing in the room.
Mm-hmm.
So I released 3 spirits in the room for them. All right, and then their meters went off. It was really cute.
That's awesome.
So cute. That's so cool.
Yeah, it was fun. It was cool, but the you know, the membrane between this world and the spirit world it affects on the emotions, the sensitivity of the individual, the time of day, and the time of year, and the emotional and the strength or activity of the spirit itself.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
So I think there was a church, and there was like some hauntings in there, and I released 3 spirits in the building, and then I called them back and put them back in their bottles afterwards, and then I made a pact with them. I would release them and help them move on. So what Last Rites does. So I'm a necromancer. I practice necromancy, which is basically scrying and communicating with the dead, speaking to the dead.
Okay. I do have a scrying question for you later.
Sure. But my methods are very different from others.
Okay. Well, that's even more interesting.
So my theory is that there are 3 parts of the self. There's the Ak, the Ba, and the Ka. Okay, the Ka is the immortal center of us. Okay, this is the Heka or Kemeticism, comes from ancient Egyptian.
Mm-hmm.
The body, mind, and soul. The mind and the body are temporary because they're in linear time.
Okay.
Okay, and through your incarnation, you build up a Ba or a mind.
Okay.
Okay, and when you die, it evaporates.
Okay.
And your Ka, your soul, goes on to a new incarnation. So someone asked me, and there's 2 deaths. There's the first death and the second death. Okay, the first death is the death of the physical body and the separation of the mind and the soul from that.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, and then they go into the spirit world, and you can see this in the art of Alex Gray. He did a lot of the art for Tool and
yeah.
and Burning Man.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Okay.
He paints the astral world, the spirit world. Okay.
Cool.
And then the Ba, or the mind, begins to evaporate. It usually takes about 72 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where you get all the bright lights and happiness and DMT and like everything like DMT is designed to help you die, make you peaceful.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that continues into the second death, which is the death of the mind, of the identity.
Okay.
And that sometimes gets stuck in between lives, between deaths. That's where you get the word undead.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. And sometimes there's fetishes which connect you from this world to the next.
Fetishes?
Fetishes keep you in between land. Okay, a fetish is not a sexual thing in this, what I'm talking about. A fetish is something that keeps you attached to the physical world.
Keeps your soul connected?
Well, your soul moves on. A lot of times a ghost is not the Ka, it's not the soul. It's parts of the identity of the individual.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Like the second death is the death of the identity.
Right.
Okay. The Ka has its own personality and ideas and stuff like that. But the Egyptians call the Ka, the soul, the Ka. Okay. The Ba is the mind and the identity that you have. So for example, a lot of people ask me what it's like for the second death is, and I say I can give you 2 examples of what it's like after the second death.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay. Have you met someone with Alzheimer's disease?
Yeah.
That's the second death. The death of the identity. Before the physical death, or before the physical and before the Ka moves on, or the soul moves on, the death of the identity, the Ba, is what is dying in Alzheimer's disease.
Interesting. Okay.
And someone asked me what it's like before incarnation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I say, well, let me ask you this. This is not gentlemanly of me, but I'm going to ask anyway for the excuse of this exercise.
Okay.
What years were you born?
83.
Okay. Both, are you sisters?
Nah,
We get asked all the time, but no.
Okay. Do you remember 1980?
No.
no.
That's what it's like to be beyond the second death.
Oh,
Interesting.
so you just don't remember anything about?
You don't exist.
Yeah.
Okay. So what funeral rites do, or last rites, is help the second death come about.
Huh. Cool.
So part of you moves on first, right? And that's gone.
Well, when you die, your mind and your identity and your soul leave your body.
Right. Yeah. So so you hear those stories, people say this house is haunted and this person that used to live here doesn't realize they died and they still want to live here. What part is that?
The ba and the ka is sometimes stuck. Sometimes it's just the ba.
And they just need to be moved on, kind
You
of.
just got to do an exorcism and they're gone.
Okay.
And it depends on the skill of the exorcist or the priest or the shaman and whether that the spirit will believe it.
Yeah, because I've heard that a lot. They're like, the spirit thinks you're in their house, kind of thing.
Well, yeah, because they're used to it.
Right, yeah. It's familiar to them, yeah.
Like my girlfriend has someone jumping on her bed all the time, and then we did an exorcism and it never happened again.
That's crazy. I love that.
Are any of them, like, have you been scared by what you see? Do anyone scare you?
Mostly spirits are just confused.
Yeah.
They're harmless. They're just standing there kind of like confused. And you just go get a body.
Yeah. Go get a body.
I love that.
Go
So,
into incarnation. Go into the light. Whatever you want to. You just.
yeah.
Yeah.
You missed the train.
Mm-hmm.
So, is it true that if a spirit is like a bad person in life, they're bad in death as well if they're stuck here?
There are spirits that are good and bad, just like people.
Yeah,
Right.
That's what.
Right.
Yeah. Well, that's very interesting. Can I ask you about Bela Lugosi's mirror?
I don't like to talk about that, but I will do it for you.
Okay. Oh, thank you. If you don't want to, it's okay.
No, I mean, it might have been Bela Lugosi's mirror, but it belonged to other people. And I think those people actually had the actual those people actually had I think black mirrors are gateways to the spirit world. Okay, they lift the veil. They're like a hole in the veil.
Uh-huh.
And sometimes in that hole, things live. And there was something in there.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And when I pissed it off, it went into me and I pushed it out and passed out.
Oh, so that's what happened. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's when an entity enters you, men have a more difficult time with spirit possession than women. Women are designed energetically to have two souls in them. That's why they can have babies.
Oh, that makes sense.
That does make sense.
That's why most psychics that channel spirits are women.
Oh.
I never even would have thought about that.
No.
Interesting.
But that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It's harder for men to be skin we call it skin riding.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
I am learning how to do that now through astral projection.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay. And what it is that the training I have, okay, but what I do is I go into I astrally project into someone, I subdue their consciousness, and I take over their body and I activately walk it like a mannequin.
What? And have you successfully done that?
No, I haven't done that yet.
Okay, so that's what you're working towards. Wow.
That's
I'm working on it.
cool.
But it depends on the willpower and the time of day and whether the person's awake. It's easier to enter people's dreams first and then go through that and enter their consciousness.
How do you?
Oh, that's cool.
How do you astral project?
Well,
I know what it is, but how do you?
There's different variations of it. What you need to do is you need to not fall asleep.
Right.
Okay. You need to astral projection is the suggestion of projecting your your consciousness beyond your body.
Mhm.
Okay. First, you need to learn how to lucid dream.
Mhm.
Okay. Then you need to learn how to, you need to first learn how to lucid dream, and then you need to use that as the foundation.
Mhm.
Okay. But you got to first know the astral world, the spirit world.
Right.
Okay. Which is vast and has many realms. Okay. The veil is a membrane. The metaphysical term for the veil is called the ether.
Mhm.
Okay. All of us are made up of both spirit and physical material, but most of us are trapped because of our perception in the physical perception of the five senses.
Right.
Right.
Okay. What a lot of people don't realize is that ESP, or extrasensory extrasensory perception, is actually five senses.
Mhm.
It's not a sixth sense. It's mirrors of your physical senses.
Interesting.
Clairaudience, clairvoyance.
Yeah.
Okay. Sight.
Okay. Telekinesis is touch.
Okay.
All right. So your spirit body, the soul, that every person you see walking down the street has a ghost inside of them. Living ghost. That's how it's like if you've touched a dead body, you can tell that there's no soul in there. The ba and the ka have left.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. In ancient Egyptian, they called them ka spirits. You would bring offerings of food and things, and there would be ka priests, and that's why they would mummify the physical body to create a pattern so the spirit can move on to judgment, which would be basically the same equivalent of rebirth.
Right.
Because in ancient Egyptian theology, okay, which is called Heka, there's no such thing as reincarnation.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay. That's a Hindu and early Christian concept
Mhm.
and Buddhist concept. So death is just a natural cycle of life.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But for some people that don't really like the second death,
Why is that?
because they forget
Oh.
their identity. Wouldn't you like to keep all the degrees and college degrees and experiences that you've had in one life and live it for 100 lives?
Yeah. So do you believe that people get reincarnated?
Yeah, I believe the ka gets reincarnated, but
They just
very
don't remember
rarely.
their past life.
Past life memories are residue of past lives. They're not full of complete lives. Like, for example, I did a past life regression where I was a black woman, okay, in a church pantry, okay. That's not Father Sebastian.
Right.
No, yeah, no.
We have the same ka, but we're not the same person.
Right.
The ba is different.
Cool.
I've always wanted to do something like that. I've had
Me too.
some of my clients have done that. And some had some really tough experiences doing that, actually.
Mm-hmm. This is just my perspective on things,
Right.
and other people have their own.
Mhm.
Right, but that's what we're interested in, is your perspective.
Yeah.
Well, I do my best to communicate what my experiences are and what I believe.
Yeah.
And when I talk about the ba, the ak, and the ka, it's very interesting because ancient Egyptian, do you know we're closer in time to Cleopatra than Cleopatra was close in time to the pyramids?
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
You didn't?
There's more time between Cleopatra and the pyramids than Cleopatra and today.
Mhm.
Okay. Whoa.
About 500 years.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
I'll add that to our next list of fun facts.
Well, now I already know.
Okay. I want to know about your Lestat tours in Paris.
I don't do vampire tours in Paris. I have vampires on my tour.
Okay. I
Okay.
saw a video on YouTube and somebody posted it years ago where you were talking about going like in the footsteps of Lestat.
Yeah, I tried to do a project where Anne Rice, I believe, I could be wrong, was never in Paris by the time that she wrote Interview with the Vampire.
Mm-hmm.
She just did research. And I looked up the locations in the locations and the experiences that Lestat had.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Like, for example, the catacombs, Anne Rice got a couple things wrong, but she's writing fiction.
Right.
Well, yeah.
Okay. Rue de Temple, where the Theater of the Vampires is,
Mm-hmm.
there's a circus there, a horse circus.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Between Republic and Bastille.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was a great setting for the Theater of the Vampires.
Yeah.
Okay. The Cemetery of the Innocents,
Mm-hmm.
where all the bones from the catacombs came from,
Mm-hmm.
has no catacombs under it. It was an open graveyard.
Cool.
Okay. And an Interview with the Vampire, or Vampire Lestat went down there and he met a coven of vampires
Mm-hmm.
that believed in Satan, that they were children of Satan.
Mm-hmm.
So Paris is a vampiric city, but it's not from Anne Rice. She just brought the modern attention to it. There was actually 4 vampire theaters in Paris.
Really?
Yes. And some of the early Victorian vampire myths were written there. And it was mostly psychic vampirism. It was not blood drinking vampirism.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. So Paris had the Grand Guignol, which was a blood theater, which had nothing to do with vampires, but they would buy all the pig's blood from around the area and then splash it on the audience when they would cut someone's head off. They invented the guillotine that cut your head off.
Yeah.
Oh, gross.
That is so cool. I mean, nasty, but cool.
I don't want anyone spraying blood on me.
I think that's
Sorry.
so cool.
I'm interested in the like energy, life force, not the
I mean, it's pig's blood.
Have you seen the movie Life Force?
huh?
Have you ever seen the movie Life Force from 1984?
No.
Life Force was a movie, Patrick Stewart was in it, and it was about Halley's Comet coming to Earth.
Ooh.
And a British space shuttle encountered it, and they found these bat-like creatures in nets. And they brought one back to Earth, and it was Lilith.
Oh,
Cool.
cool. I will watch
We
it.
have
I
to
like
watch
Patrick
that.
Stewart
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. We have to watch that.
Yes.
So I guess I really was curious, and I guess you're not doing it this year, but the Endless Night.
Oh, we're doing it.
You
Absolutely.
are?
Yes, but it's going to be virtual.
Oh, cool.
Okay. One of the things that I've always wanted to do is create virtual events that correspond with physical events.
Okay.
And a lot of people don't realize that virtual events have a couple advantages.
Mhm.
One, you don't have to buy a plane ticket and you can do it from your home.
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay. 2, you can get a different effect that's different than a physical event. Okay. So what we've done is, if you look behind me, I'll have Long Black Veil in the Vampire Lounge.
Mhm.
Right.
Okay. That was the original vampire club of the 1990s that Blade copied the rave scene from.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Long Black Veil was in a club called Mother at 14th Street in Washington in Manhattan in the meatpacking district. And at 4:00 in the morning, all the cows and pigs would be hanging outside of our door. And we would have to walk through blood and push the cows and pigs aside,
Like actual cows and pigs?
dead ones,
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
because they were brought down to go to the meat market.
Oh, okay. I'm like, what,
I'm like, did
what's
you miss
happening
that?
right now?
We go
Got
from
it.
this beautiful Victorian room called the Versailles Room and go into pigs and cow blood
Nice.
and go to your taxi.
Oh
Oh,
my gosh.
wow.
And that was 4 a.m. because all the cows, because the High Line was the train line that would bring all the cows and pigs into the meatpacking district.
Mhm.
And that was on 14th Street and 14th Street and Washington. And that was on the west side.
Okay. So what's the virtual one going to be like? People log in, I assume, and then what kind of...
Yeah, so how would it work virtually?
Well, we use Zoom, but what we do is you buy your ticket, and then 30 minutes before the event, you get a link to the gatekeeper's room. Okay, you go and you create a vampire lair like this with a background.
Okay.
It's code. You wear the costumes required. You guys have a cool vampire lair looking situation right there. And then you go to Victor Magnus, our gatekeeper, and Victor Magnus will then check your ticket check you on the guest list, just like at a club. He has the picture of the club behind him. That the club Long Black Veil happened in a club called Mother at 14th Street in Washington, which no longer exists. So we used the blueprints of the club to create a hypermap with rooms in Zoom that relate to the rooms in the club.
Oh, cool.
Okay?
Yeah, that's really cool.
So you go to and he has a picture of Mother behind him. Okay, like I have Long Black Veil.
Yeah.
And you check in. He makes sure you're in dress code. You have your fangs on if you have fangs.
Not yet.
Oh, we're buying some.
Awesome.
I was going to get some for this interview, but I was like, that's like blasphemous to wear someone else's fangs.
It would take, well, if you get fangs from me or someone else, that's all right. I don't mind.
Oh, no, they're from you.
Yeah, it'll happen.
I have a limit of, so I have a quota of how many pairs I can make a month just for quality.
Okay.
And I only do about 100 pairs a month. So.
All right. Well, we'll put an order in, and when they come, they come.
So what happens is that once you're checked in the chat on Zoom, Victor will send you a secret link to a map of the nightclub. According to your ticket and who you are, you'll get access to certain rooms.
Oh,
so the first event we opened, the Agora, which is the Vampire Lounge, hosted by Johanna Moresco of the band Cruise Shadows. She's a rock star, a violinist, very beautiful woman. And then there's the dance floor with DJs Angel and Matt V. Christ, who play vampire classics. And people will go and you'll see all the squares and everybody will be dancing in their squares like the Brady Bunch.
That's awesome.
That is
that was our first episode, and we did it on the 20th anniversary of Mother closing.
Okay.
Wow.
And the woman who created Long Black Veil, Chichi Valenti, came up with the idea of we used the blueprint of the club.
Yeah.
For the venue. So now on our second episode, we added 2 rooms that never existed in the club. We added a seance room with Richard Lale and Patty Negri, and then we added a parlor for poetry and art. Okay. So for example, the parlor in the 19th century was a room that the family would gather in and they'd entertain each other. Okay. Then what would happen is an event should call, and you would usually have your dead family members in the parlor to make them just wait for them to wake.
Yeah.
So that's where you got the wake from. And you put coins in their eyes to pay the ferryman. On the River Styx. The ferryman?
Ferryman. Oh,
when you die, you need to bring coins with you to pay your toll to the afterlife.
To the afterlife, ferry to the afterlife. I got you. Okay.
The Grim Reaper comes from the ferryman.
Okay.
Okay. Then when embalming was created, the dead were taken out of the parlor and brought to the funeral home, and they'd be prepared for a viewing.
Right.
Home and Living magazine of 1898 renamed the parlor the living room.
Right.
Okay. Because that's where the living hang out.
Yes.
Interesting.
So there's a little bit of story for you there.
Yeah, because it's one of those things that you just grow up knowing it's called the living room, but you're not like, why the hell do we call it the living room?
It used to be called the parlor.
Okay. Cool.
And that's where you would entertain people.
Yeah.
Okay. And the family would gather. You'd have the fireplace. You'd play games. You'd have your dead grandma sitting there for a couple weeks until she started sleeping.
Right. Until she starts rotting. Yeah.
I mean, I'm kind of glad we don't do things that way anymore.
Yeah, I'm cool at the funeral home.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't have much of a stomach for smells.
Smells were much more common back in the day.
Right.
Yeah.
The
No
whole
deodorant.
thing and yeah.
I love women that go to me, I want to live in the Victorian era. And I'm like, no, you do not want to live in the Victorian era.
Right. I have thought about that more in detail. I'm like, well, maybe if I could just go back in time and look, but they can't
There's
see
no
me.
sense of smell.
Yeah.
Did you know that women did not have a scientifically recognized orgasm until 1962?
Shut up.
Not kidding.
Oh, so it's all just like.
Wait, scientifically recognized?
Yes, men can orgasm, women cannot until 1962.
Shut the why?
No, I
Well,
guess.
like for example, women would wear corsets and they'd go to the opera and they'd pass out from hysteria. Okay. And in the Victorian era, doctors had this wonderful device, which we call a vibrator,
Right.
okay, to relieve the pressure of the hysteria.
Right.
Oh, interesting.
I mean, I knew all that, but
Well, thank God for those
scientifically,
scientists.
God,
Just 100 years ago.
Jesus.
Wow, no, I
Yeah, and it looked like
I
it was
didn't
on
know
like
that.
a fucking generator.
never.
Some of them were paddle like a old sewing machine.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we'll Google it.
She's
You'll
like,
look.
I'm passing out. You need to.
I cannot imagine the things you ladies are going to do after I get off this.
Oh my God.
Now they have chargers that you can use interchangeable with your cell phone.
They have them for your purse, everything now.
I think we went down the wrong rabbit hole.
We did. We did.
Thanks for that.
I mean, we are called Twat Podcast, but you know. Anyway, this was awesome. Before you go, where can we get the fangs?
You can buy everything at fathersebastian.com.
Okay.
IAAN. Black Veil Vampires. Endless Night is the big company that I run.
Yeah.
And it's a worldwide production. We do Vampire Ball. Our grand finale, Vampire Ball, is in New Orleans. Black Veil is a more hardcore brand for metaphysics and esotericism and ritual and vampire things. Like I'm doing a class on, I'm starting my first class on the Black Veils, which are the culture that came from that nightclub, Long Black Veil.
Okay.
Cool.
My first course will be on sigils, glyphs, and symbolism of the vampire mythology according to the Black Veils, and that will be on the 12th of August.
Oh, coming up.
Okay, and you can find I'm doing a bunch of courses on energy work, paranormal investigation, and witchcraft, and the Black Veils are kind of the culture, philosophy, and traditions that evolve from the modern nightclub.
Cool.
Yeah, this is all so interesting
I
to
want
me.
in.
I'm so
A lot
glad.
of things to talk about.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, there's a lot to look into, and then
Yeah.
we're gonna have to ask you some more questions.
I know, right? There's gonna be.
Well, I started an interview series every Thursday and Tuesday. I'm interviewing people I find interesting everywhere from social dynamics to vampires to witches to paranormal investigators. I'm starting that in August. Every Tuesday and Thursday at noon, I interview someone. So I've got Richard Lael and Griffin, a high priest witch.
Oh, cool.
And they were both interesting interviews. And I'm trying to become the Joe Rogan of the paranormal and interviews. And my Instagram, I like to promote people that have similar interests. So I'm going to be interviewing the Gothic Guru,
Cool.
who's a guy named James from Vegas. He lives in Vegas. I'm going to interview paranormal investigators, social dynamics guys, charisma people, vampires. I'm interviewing Buck, who is the oldest vampire in Australia that I know.
Ooh.
And he's
Cool.
very, very sexy, and he looks like he's 20, but he's
What?
not.
How old is he?
He's been around since I've been around.
Okay. I'm gonna have to
And
watch.
I got into the vampire community in 1992.
Okay, cool.
How old are you?
You look pretty young too.
You look young.
I do not. A vampire does not disclose his age.
Yes,
Please, we
well-
told you when we were born.
Yeah, but that was for an exercise.
Oh,
not-
no.
That's
Come on.
true. But the life force
You
isn't
don't look
working 'cause
like-
you look younger than we,
Yeah,
we
you
are.
look younger than we are.
Are you drinking alcohol?
She is. I'm drinking water.
Yeah.
You must get drunk in these interviews. That's more good. It's better for me.
I didn't have enough. I'll tell you what. We'll do another interview and I'll be wasted. How about that?
Very good.
I'll hold her hair back later.
I'm usually drunk. I'm drinking water because I haven't eaten today.
It is only like 4:00, but whatever.
I do have one other question.
Yes,
Vampire Adventures.
that was a disappointment.
What
was-
You
happened?
didn't like it?
I think there wasn't enough content and material that you have like the paranormal to make it interesting. When you have the paranormal investigations, you have a whole plethora of options
Right.
you can do to make the show entertaining.
Right.
Okay, I think that Vampire Adventures had potential to be something, but I think that maybe it will happen someday.
I hope so.
But I think that Vampire Adventures it wasn't the right time and place.
Okay.
Right. Well, I think this thing you're doing with interviewing all these, really interesting people in the paranormal field is really cool.
I do too.
Yeah.
I'm going to interview witches and vampires and paranormal investigators and steampunks.
Yeah. Well, I want to be a paranormal investigator and I want to be a witch. So
Right.
I can't wait to watch.
Yeah, we'll definitely
We
be
must
tuning
talk
in.
to Patty Negri.
We did talk to Patty
We
Negri.
love Patty. And
Yeah.
next month we're talking to Richard Little. So
Yeah.
You do this once a month?
We actually just started doing it because we were too afraid to do interviews.
yeah, we're
Kinda.
literally
If you drink, you won't have to worry about that as much.
If you what? Well, yeah, I know. It helps me. But
Yeah.
I'm allergic to alcohol, so I have to have other people drink for me. Yeah,
that is
you're
a
like
curse.
physically allergic to it.
I will vomit if I drink alcohol.
That's how I am with
that's a
beer.
curse.
Yeah, it just never settled well with me, and
Oh.
I'd probably be better off if I was too.
I think a lot of people would be better off too. But I think wine is something. I like smelling wine, and I like tasting cocktails.
Yeah.
But if I get any in me, I turn red and I'd start vomiting. Really
Oh
bad.
no.
Oh, that's
Like a lactose intolerant for alcohol.
Oh.
that is a curse and a half.
No, I think it's wonderful because I get to be the dad. I'm always the designated driver,
That's
and
true.
everyone's safe. And I feel more in control than you can imagine.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah, there's sometimes I'm like, man, I shouldn't have drank that much. I made a fool out of myself. So, but anyway.
Well, I cannot wait to follow and see what's going on and to watch. And then I'm sure we're going to have way more follow-up questions. And next time, I promise, I'll be drunk.
And we'll be wearing fangs at some point.
Drink
And
some
we'll
food.
be wearing your fangs.
Okay.
I
Well, have a
really-
great day.
You too.
Me too.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Oh my God, he was awesome.
I know.
I fucking love him.